ideal person I'm targeting with this is a service-based business owner, manager, founder, somebody who's overwhelmed and is trying to use AI to basically improve their day-to-day life. The buckets I'm starting. Enterprise design is one of those things that when you can balance your vision around brand and vision around product and also your vision around organization, you're balancing content, purpose, and story through the way that you live your life in identity, right? So the material you talk about and why you talk about it and how you talk about it is content, purpose, and story. The architecture piece is the actual processes, assets, and capabilities at play, right? The systems you have working for you that feed on themselves. There are a lot of really smart people that over-engineer and over-systemize and over-process, and they often need to act more in the world of task, journey, and channel. So it's actually taking action towards a specific story, right? A certain direction, and doing so either through media, outbound DMs, whatever kind of work you can do to build either your product or your brand. And if you're a sole proprietor like myself, organization is not about managing social capital and people. It's managing systems and managing the vision as clear as you can so you can apply the theory of constraints internally and build meaningfully. And when you do that, you can really taste acceleration. So with that all being said, and they do a questionnaire, they want stuff that is segmented towards them, things that are useful. I also need to understand a few different pieces that help me compose a decent profile around their identity, their architecture, their systems at place, and their experience and kind of what they've had so far working with AI, right? So getting a good map of that, and then being able to ask the right questions to kind of tailor through the pain points, value, budget, and urgency, and then bringing them to a dynamic results page where I give them a tailored offer based across a bunch of different packages I have, and invite them to the free community where I take them through that 30-day trust building exercise. So you're probably wondering, what questions are happening here? So the reason why I have this stuff on the left, just to kind of show you what's going on here, is a large piece of it is showing you how I'm building this in real time using browser agents, Bolt.new, ChatGPT, all that fun stuff. But let's kind of walk you through it. So that intro piece, I should note, when it comes to packaging, I had a good tip from Nick Sarayev, a amazing, thinker and writer and YouTuber around AI and automation. A large proponent of a lot of my kind of practice as well, is kind of inspired from what he's doing. And I was in the community, made a note, shared kind of what I've been doing so far with the YouTube front, and he mentioned I'd get 20 to 30x more subscribers if I took care of my thumbnails. And I've been up until this point with my 11 subscribers and 8 views. There's really no excuse. It's just like putting the time behind it and doing it. So right after this, I'll be walking through that. In the meantime, let's take you through this questionnaire. What are we actually figuring out? What are we actually solving? Here is the inspiration. This is what we're looking at. So this here is a Bolt.new project, a hobbyist project that I'm not sure who made this exactly, but I found that it was amongst the gallery, and I like the kind of style. So I've already been, every time I show it as an example, I use up a free credit. So I'm going to showcase some of the stuff I worked on, which was, when I say work, I just threw in this like little prompt. And what it is nice little like timeline, kind of like, I want to say questionnaire of sorts. Not really questionnaire, but it gives you kind of like this interactive piece that you can kind of click and dive into, and I really enjoy the style of this. Caveat is, as a no-code builder, I have no idea how this is made. I have ideas, but not necessarily, the most refined. So what I did is I fed a lot of the developers their kind of experience, this webpage, into Bolt.new, and pretty much had it cook up a something similar, nothing worthwhile showing just yet. So I actually tapped the shoulder of a guy I know that builds with Lovable, and he walked me through some cool stuff. So I'll be bringing this exact questionnaire to life. So what happens here at the very beginning of it is we ask, what's holding their business back. The ideal person I'm targeting with this is a service-based business owner, manager, founder, somebody who's overwhelmed and is trying to use AI to basically improve their day-to-day lives. The buckets I'm starting off with is within the real estate front because I'm a licensed realtor. I'm also an independent consultant, have a decent network within it. Personal brand and creative builders, a lot of my clientele is also within that kind of framework. And creative marketing agencies, I have a lot of amazing collaborations. I've done digital marketing for, I want to say, well over half a decade, right through the pandemic. And outside of that, private equity and finance. I'm looking to dive deeper into that, get to understand greater portfolio, greater kind of businesses to work with. So those are the recommended ones based on my 2 years of building projects like this on the fly. I want to say past 8 months I've actually been charging and building a repertoire here. So I'm really excited to, any calls I have with these kind of ICPs, ideal customer persona, like I'm confident that I'm able to really, showcase how I can deliver. The questions I ask them are then segmented, which I'll dive into. But before I dive into that segmentation, I get an idea of them as an individual, the role, the team, and their main goals, right? Just kind of seeing how deep on the technical, sentiment ladder they are. And also get an idea of their current state. How do they feel? What are they using? The basics. Now here's the more interesting piece. Depending on the segment they offered, I would then tailor these pain questions directly to them. So if it's a real estate guy, I'm asking him about follow-ups, paperworks, scheduled showings, open houses, appointments, coordination, all the basic kind of admin responsibilities that a real estate agent kind of goes through. If they're in consulting, my question then is, where do they lose most of their time, right? Because there's a lot of time sink with consultants, right? We have a lot of unbillable hours. It's kind of the nature of the space, because most of the competition exists on an enterprise level. A lot of the small business market, the consulting world, speaking as an independent consultant, is very much like relationship based, as most things are. Any service based, I would say. It's kind of like one-to-one communication. All the admin that's involved in that is really, the speed in which I can give you a contract and proposal amongst client fulfillment and everything else I'm juggling. Of course, I make sure I have the systems in place so that bottleneck is not a reality. And being able to communicate, not miss a beat for 24 to 48 hours to anybody is really key. So all of those kinds of stuff, coaching falls a similar umbrella. If you are a personal brand builder, creator, a marketer, for you, content creation and posting, distribution is heavy, ideation is heavy, collaborations and sponsorships are heavy. Even myself now kind of, taking on this aspect as a sole proprietor. I'm looking at how can I create things to actually be of value and multiply. So systems, products, that kind of stuff is all really huge. So we dive deep into that. Marketing agencies are more client facing, so similar to consulting in the essence, where proposals, contracts are really important. Asset management is really important. Really just timeline management and communication. So I imagine there's already protocols and practices within this if you're a decent marketing agency. So I'm curious to kind of evolve this and really learn more, because I think that's the key of a community at the end of the day, so we can learn from each other. Private equity talks a lot about risk, right? So diligence, reports, coordination, deal flow, data entry. That's what I'm really trying to understand. So getting closer to that nexus, if you would call it that. And then other, as you can tell, gets a bit more generalist and wide net. So depending on the funnel, we'll kind of A/B test efficiencies. But from there, we then get a good gauge of if you could fix that pain, what would it be worth? This is for research purposes, so we won't pitch anything more than 30% of what they put below. So they have that sliding tier. And that kind of signals for the ticket size and also the ROI kind of profile, right? How we explain the presentation. And then, getting an idea of their timeline and urgency, seeing why they're filling this in the first place. Now, this looks a lot less formatted, so I'll kind of just summarize what all this copy iteration is in this quick little thing here. So after they finish all of that, we present to them a results headline, so showing their segmentation, personalized summary and value. We tailor an offer to them. We then invite them for free to the school community where there'll be a 30-day roadmap for how they actually can implement what they took a quiz about. And then also me personally explaining that with nice little graphics and all that fun jazz. So nice little 1 minute kind of thing. And then a bonus for an email campaign that I can send off and say, hey, this is not included in the general thing, but we'd love for you to join us. And then from there, that cold email campaign will have a lot of top of funnel leading back and pulling right back into the quiz. So that's what's going on with the offer ideation. I will say one more point because I touched upon this in more detail in a previous video. Enterprise design is one of those things that when you can balance your vision around brand and vision around product and also your vision around organization, you're balancing content, purpose, and story through the way that you live your life in identity, right? So the material you talk about and why you talk about it and how you talk about it is content, purpose, and story. The architecture piece is the actual processes, assets, and capabilities at play, right? The systems you have working for you that feed on themselves. There are a lot of really smart people that over-engineer and over-systemize and over-process, and they often need to act more in the world of task, journey, and channel. So it's actually taking action towards a specific story, right? A certain direction, and doing so either through media, outbound DMs, whatever kind of work you can do to build either your product or your brand. And if you're a sole proprietor like myself, organization is not about managing social capital and people. It's managing systems and managing the vision as clear as you can so you can apply the theory of constraints internally and build meaningfully. And when you do that, you can really taste acceleration. So with that all being said, dramatic side, let me bring you upon one more point. I'm building out an interactive experience for that exact questionnaire, right? Do I have to do that? No. Do you have to do that? No. But I think when it comes to packaging, in the same way with thumbnails as I need to improve on that, it is 90% psychology and 10% design. However, without that 10% design architecture stuff, you'll see a lot of what you currently see on the market, which is attempts. Without design, you don't have direction. And without direction, sure, you can move fast. You can build something incredible. You can make, a stupid amount of money. But if you're looking to build something long-term, like for a long-term, asset that you can continually draw from and build a lifestyle kind of thing out of, that's what no-code building allows you to do. However, with that as a pretense, you get to look at this ocean of overwhelm. And I will say with that ocean of overwhelm, you get to kind of choose your own adventure and choose how you want to approach things and build with them. And what kind of, frame it like this, what kind of errors and mistakes do you want to work through? What kind of problems do you actually want to solve? That's often the basis for a lot of my motivation behind, talking and walking through a lot of this. Outside of providing something novel, it's also having tangible impact. So with that, see you guys in the next one.